For the love of Christ, Castle. Can't you just take a fucking break? Hello YouTube, I'm Darkest101 and... What he said. Well then, I suppose it's once again time to talk about The Punisher. I honestly don't know what I can say about the character at this point to serve as an introduction. I've reviewed 2 out of the 3 live-action Punisher movies that have been made, and done a small video discussing the short film Dirty Laundry. I mean, the only mildly entertaining thing I can really say at this point is the fact that one of the most violent men in Marvel Comics is called Frank. To me, that's funny as fuck. It's like that moment when you realise that Michael Myers has a middle name and that's Audrey. Seriously, I have a hard enough time taking Halloween seriously as a horror film as it is, but now that I know that Mike Myers' middle name is fucking Audrey, he has literally lost all credibility he has. Where was I going with that? I feel like I've been distracted. Punisher. Side note, you have no idea how good it feels for me to play a PS2 game again. I mean, Jesus Christ. This is some nostalgia for you. Well, not this specific game, but the system itself. First of all, oh my god, why is this so dark? Seriously, the Black Gulch has more illumination. Why do games that take place at night in dark areas insist on having their brightness be set at the lowest it can be by default? What the fuck? This is like Science of Evil all over again. And although I try not to mention the Science of Evil, I have to bring up the point that The Punisher, a game that came out 3 years prior to Hellboy the Science of Evil, and on a previous console system, looks somehow better. Hellboy, step up your game, son. The combat system in Punisher is a straightforward third-person shooter affair. Point, shoot, reload. Enemies drop their weapons upon being killed, and Frank can carry up to 2 different types of weapon. Some weapons, however, he can also dual-wield, increasing your options for combat. There are melee weapons in the game as well, but honestly, I stuck with a shotgun as it's pretty much a one-hit kill on anything with a pulse. Seriously, I felt like the freaking Terminator played this game. Another interesting thing about the third-person shooting is the fine aiming mechanic. It basically routes Frank to the spot and turns it into a bit of an arcade shooter, with the analog sticks moving the aiming reticle on the screen so you have a bit more control whilst aiming. It's good use sometimes when the grunts grab civilians and use them as hostages. I mean, they don't do it that often and you're really open while you do it, but it's there for you to use. And while initially I wrote off crouching and rolling as pointless given how weak the enemies are at times, I did find myself instinctively using them throughout my playthrough. Sure, ducking isn't a good stealth mechanic, but for covering, yeah, you can actually say it's rather useful. Something I didn't really enjoy though with this game was its melee combat system. Cause lord is it broken. Like I said, I felt like the goddamn Terminator kicking doors and blasting people with the shotgun, but that's only because the melee combat is broken as fuck. I mean, if you get close enough to an enemy, you can just one-hit kill them. It's so fucking pointless, but it's also really unsatisfying as well. Just a 3-second animation and boop, they're dead. Seriously, I feel like I understand Saitama a lot better now after playing this game. There's no satisfaction in a one-punch kill. And that's my main problem with this overclocking supercharged slaughter mode the game has as well. All it really does is it gives Frank a bit more speed and adds a one-hit kill to his ranged attack as well, for a limited time. But since most of what the slaughter mode adds to Frank is pretty much stuff a halfway competent player can do already, it's pretty useless to be honest. I find myself accidentally activating slaughter mode from time to time, and instead of saying, fuck, I might have needed that later on, I found myself saying, oh yeah, that's a mechanic in this game. Well, at least that'll give me some of my health back. Seriously, the only time I actively used slaughter mode in this game was because I realised I was running low on health and couldn't interrogate the bad guys I'd murdered to regain health. Which brings me on to the interrogation mechanics. Every enemy in the game can be killed with one melee hit, something we already know. But you can also interrogate every enemy to try and get some health back and maybe some information about the current level. You can tell who the important grunts are and who the important people to interrogate are by the flashing Punisher skulls above their head. Sometimes it's information about the target, sometimes they tell you about a cache of weapons hidden somewhere, and other times they'll tell you about an upcoming ambush, so it's always worth trying to interrogate the flashing Punisher skulls. How you get there is also brutal as fuck. By moving the left and right analog stick up and or down, you put the pressure on bad guys to make them talk, whether it be pressing a gun up their nose, choking them, smacking their faces into the concrete, or just straight up wailing on them. Where it really gets fun, however, is with the special interrogations. While Frank can use the previously mentioned 4 methods of interrogation to get basic rewards, the levels will all be scattered with these little positions where you can perform special interrogations. These include dangling guys out of windows, shoving them under drill bits, that sort of thing. And these special interrogations offer top tier rewards for the effort. And then you can just straight up murder them afterwards. I mean, why the fuck not, right? In the UK PAL version of this game, however, they censored all the kill animations for special interrogations by pulling back a little bit from the action and making the screen go all black and white, which, while disappointing, you can kind of see where they were coming from. And at least the censorship they went with was at least in keeping with the tone and style of the game. Because, you know, it could have been a hell of a lot worse. One thing that does annoy me constantly though, is that whenever Frank gets into an enclosed space, the camera gets shoved so close to his back I can almost see up his anus. In the levels that are open or exterior, it's not so bad, but when you get into tight corridors of some of the other levels, that's the moment when you will curse the third-person shooter genre. Like honestly, I am not playing the Punisher on PS2 to get a sneak peek at the Frank Castle colonoscopy! And now, only just saying that do I realise that I might have got a little bit too far with that. Fuck it. And finally we have the civilians that are sometimes scattered about the levels. Killing these meatbags is an instant game over, which is why the fine aiming mechanic is so useful for if one of the bad guys grabs one and uses them as a meat shield. Rescued civilians can be talked to for information, just like interrogated enemies, but sometimes they'll just say the goofiest things.
Hey, you're the Punisher! Thanks, man!
Madam, I just strangled a man. Like, literally right in front of you. Pretty violently, too, I might add. You astound me, madam. I mean, I'm the Punisher, and so far, you're the scariest thing in this alleyway. Well, this seems like as good a place as any to start talking about the story of this game. I'm slightly unnerved. There's a body at my feet, and the nearest female couldn't give a shit. Sounds like some did that to me. We all know the backstory of Frank Castle's general life. His family was killed on a gang hit, and now he's out for revenge by killing all the criminals in New York or whatever. The story is mostly told in flashback as Frank tells 2 police officers the events that led him to his recent arrest. And for whatever bafflingly bizarre reason, one of them, the female cop, is called Richtofen. I don't know why. I don't know why she's called Richtofen. And no, she does not have anything even resembling a German accent. I can, however, fix it with the power of editing.
I will destroy you all now!
Yes, right, I get it. I am a child and that was a dumb joke, okay? Can we just fucking move on? The police interrogation of Frank in his little cell serves as the framing device through which the rest of the game's story is told, because the game isn't a single cohesive narrative. Well, it is, but in reality it's 4 separate stories that are used as charges against Castle whilst he's under arrest, in which Frank guns down 4 different enemies. A New York crime family, the Nucci's, a Russian mob, the Yakuza, and Wilson Fisk. Hold up, isn't that like the same setup as the first season of Daredevil? Except instead of fighting these 4 threats as a single cohesive organisation that actually holds a bit of a threat, it's just the Punisher running around beating the shit out of a bunch of gun-wielding dipshits running dick first into danger. Well, I don't get the feeling this won't hold up as well as the first season of Daredevil. The problem with this is the fact that the 4 threats that Frank ends up taking on in this game don't flow naturally into one another. The only attempt the game makes to get these 4 plot threads to tie together is by using the interrogation setting that we saw at the beginning of the game. We jerkily jump from one enemy to the next, not that it really matters because all it does is give the bad guys a new set of skins to wear. The gameplay doesn't change and the threadbare story doesn't add any character because it's told through really short cutscenes and through the police interrogation of the Punisher. And that whole gameplay doesn't really change thing I mentioned there, that starts to get so fucking draining after a while. Look, if this game were trying to bring across the feeling of the Punisher's soul-crushing and never-ending battle against the forces of organised crime, then good fucking job, because it just feels like the same level on a goddamn treadmill. Run through the level, kill all the bad guys, maybe shoot someone that's important by the end of it. That's all there is. Jesus Christ, how does Castle do this for years at a time? I feel like I want to kill myself, and I've only done this for a few goddamn hours! And even then, the game manages to screw up the whole directive of telling the player where the fuck to go. The amount of times I have run around a section of the level, confused as all balls as to what I had to do and where I had to go next, actually astounds me. I mean, yeah, sometimes there'll be these glowing blue boxes around important items, but fucking tell me if you can see them first time playing a game without being explicitly told where they existed, because I sure as fuck didn't. I ran through fire so many fucking times in one section of the game because I didn't know I was supposed to shoot the sprinklers to turn them on. Thanks for the help on that, game. All of which resulted in Frank's untimely death way too many times than was actually necessary. I'm not saying that the deaths I accumulated through playing this game weren't my fault. No. I'm just saying that the way the game dealt with those deaths was absolute horsewank. You see, the game doesn't have a checkpoint system, but rather it chunks up certain levels into sections. So once you complete a section of a level, then that serves as your one and only checkpoint of the game. So if you die, that's where you respawn from. So if you're like a few feet away from the end of a section, you get shot at the back of the head and you lose all your health, then right back to the beginning of the section with you, fucker, and all of the ever so repetitive gunfights you went through to get to where you were in the fucking first place. So with that said, can I really recommend The Punisher on PS2? Considering its threadbare storyline, almost complete lack of character, confusing layouts, repetitive gameplay, and even more repetitive level design, there's not really much in favour for The Punisher. Hell, even the interrogation mechanics, which at first were really fun and charming, become just another tedium you want to get out of the way as soon as possible. It might be worth it if you handle this game a level at a time, but if, as a reviewer, you end up looking up how many levels you have to finish before you beat the game you're reviewing, it's not a game that's grabbing them, I can tell you that much. Punisher on PS2, at its core, is a fairly standard, solid third-person shooter in terms of its gameplay. However, outside of that, there's no real substance or character to this game. Nothing in this feels distinctly Punisher, if that makes any sense. There's nothing outside of the title that I could really say, oh yeah, that's definitely the Punisher. So, it just lacked any character and any sense of enjoyment for me. And that is why The Punisher on PS2 gets a dark rating of 32.
How many people have you killed in the last few weeks?
Not sure. There were a lot of explosions.
Yeah, great to be reviewing a PS2 game again, isn't it? And then I go and shit all over it. Anyway guys, if you have a suggestion for a future review, please leave it in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see more like it in the future, don't forget to subscribe. And as always, I've been Darkest101. You have been watching Darkest101 Reviews. Thanks for watching. Good night, YouTube.